A rogue institution. That's what US regulators are calling Standard Chartered after accusing it of hiding transactions with Iran that flouted sanctions on the country. The bank strongly rejects the accusations, but now faces a battle to save its New York banking license. For more on the banks in general and the day's other big stories, I'm joined by Tom Elliott, global strategist, JP Morgan Asset Management. Morning to you, Tom. Yet another example of the hazard that the banks are throwing up right now.
Yes, it does seem, unfortunately, that the banking sector goes from one area of problems to another. I think it's important to set that into context, though, of the steady improvement that we've seen in their balance sheets over the last couple of years through a combination of cutting down on some lending that they would otherwise have done, through cutting down on dividends, just allowing profits to accumulate. That has led to quite a healthy recapitalization, certainly in Europe, of many of the larger banks. And indeed, the European Banking Authority a few weeks ago said that of the 27 banks it looks at, only a handful haven't reached its definition of 9% of Tier 1 capital. But
is that enough, though, Tom, for you to start sniffing around the banks again and dip your toe in?
I think banks will remain what could roughly be called a risk-on, risk-off asset for some time. When markets are feeling confident that we've turned a corner in some way, banks will outperform the market. And when markets are feeling not confident and there's a risk-off sentiment, they'll underperform. I think that will persist for some time to come.
Generally, is the defensive, by default, if you like, trade still the trade that's on right now?
It is, and it's not just because the market, in volatile times, the market does always have a natural tendency to veer towards the defensive as a natural sort of mode, if you like. It's also because the income available from many defensive sectors on the stock market is such that the yields are so generous that if you reinvest them and consider those income streams not just for income portfolios, but if you reinvest them, you actually get some quite decent total returns. Both growth and income investors are now hunting down those sort of 4% dividend yields you can get on many global blue chips.
What specifically in Europe, sector specific, what are you liking right now, ex-periphery, I guess?
Well, it does have to be those companies that look like they've got a solid earnings stream, and so within continental Europe that would be your consumer staples and some of your more cyclical stocks that have got export sensitivity to the emerging markets and to, say, the US. Now, obviously, we've had disappointing growth data from the US, from China this year. But it's important to remember they are still growing, and that means there are growing export opportunities for European cyclicals. OK, Tom, many thanks. Tom Elliott. Standard Chartered, of course, the big story in Asia, too, given the bank's focus on the region. Reuters' Lisa Yuriko Thomas is in Hong Kong. Lisa, what is the reaction over there?
Well, as you'd expect, investors really punishing the stock. Shares are down 7.5% in Hong Kong at the open, and they've been in the gutter since. Market players are ignoring the company's strong denials of the allegations. And just a few hours ago, we had Nomura cut the stock to neutral from buy. Analysts say the bank really should be bracing for more downgrades. And all of this dealing a big blow to a company that has a good reputation, especially out here in Asia, where it does a lot of business. I mean, we have branches everywhere.
All right. The other big story today, no rate cut in Australia. Any great surprise?
No, actually, as expected, Australia's central bank kept rates on hold for the second straight month. It's confident that recent stimulus measures are working, and we've seen some pretty good economic data to back that up, actually, recently. Retail sales are stronger than expected. We also have stable housing prices. Analysts have been revising up estimates for growth to 4% in the second quarter. The RBA also maintained its optimistic outlook for China, saying it will see a soft landing. Of course, that's key for a commodity producer like Australia.
All right.
Axel?
All right, Lisa, thanks a lot. One other business story to keep an eye on this morning. Xstrata results out in the past half hour, and the miner is ahead of forecast, but all eyes are on progress in its bid to merge with Glencore. The CEO refusing to comment on that, but says Xstrata would be well positioned for growth even if the deal falls through. Other news today on Reuters: the gunman who killed 6 worshippers at a Sikh temple in Wisconsin has been identified as a 40-year-old Army veteran with ties to white supremacist groups. Wade Michael Page was also a member of 2 racist bands called End Apathy and Definite Hate. Federal authorities are treating the attack as an act of domestic terrorism. Social Pulse is our look at what people we follow are reading on today's hit list. Interesting to see a resurrection of a Euromoney piece mid-July of Peter Sands, Standard Chartered CEO, accepting Banker of the Year award. That's up here. But on a lighter note, this is one I want to show you. A lighter note, check out these two. An orphaned kangaroo and wombat have become inseparable friends. Anzac and Peggy sharing a moment in Victoria, Australia. That is it for now. Our Olympic pick of the day comes from Reuters photographer Toby Melville. Canada's synchronized swimming duets at the Aquatic Centre yesterday afternoon. Guess how many people are there? I'm Axel Threlfall. This is Reuters.